Hello everyone, I've been getting a bit lazy on the YouTube and I haven't done that many, but I blame Mass Effect for the same thing for why I didn't read as many books as I normally do. This is going to be my wrap up for the month of May. I read 5 books and they were shorter than the books I normally read, so it was under 3,000 pages, which is less than I normally read, but that is mainly because I played a lot of the Mass Effect Legendary Edition, as in I am almost done Mass Effect 3 and I have not been speedrunning the main quest. Anyways, May, we had like 2,700 pages, 2,800 pages. I forgot to remember before I opened this because I'm not very smart. 2,700 pages, 2,690 apparently. And with an average rating of around 7.9. One of the books being one that none of you have heard of or are able to read, but we will get into it. So, as most of you know, because this had a review, the first book I read in May was Lower Corte by Guy Gavriel Kay, which was far and away my favorite book I read this month, because holy crap, this book is really good, hence why it got its own review with its own dramatic reading. Guy Gavriel Kay might be the best prose writer I have ever read. The world is incredibly rich and well lived in. The characters are fantastic. It was paced well. It's so good. It's also, if you watch my review, you know it is one of the horniest books I've ever read. Everyone in this book is horny. Apparently it's a deliberate thing. Whatever. It's still fantastic and incredible. And you should all read Guy Gavriel Kay. I will definitely be reading more of it. So this got a 9.4 out of 10. Not going to talk about this much. If you want to hear me talk about Tigana, I have like a 20-minute review about it. So, yeah. Anyways, the next book I read, not only can I not hold up, I can't even show you a cover, because the next book I read was Honey Vinegar by my sister. Which is a book, it's a contemporary fiction that she hopes to get published, and she's published a number of short stories, and I think she has a very good chance. Contemporary fiction is not exactly my favorite genre, but also, there may be a small amount of bias in this case, because it's my sister writing it, although, I think my sister's writing, like her prose, is really good, especially her descriptive writing, and my biggest criticism with it, which she knows, I've given her a very honest recap of my thoughts, and she's like, oh yeah, I agree, I need to work on that. I don't think she's the best dialogue writer. I don't even know why I'm talking about this. It's not like any of you have the option to read it anyways, but it was really good. It's not my favorite genre, like it's contemporary fiction. I'll tell everyone the general premise. The general premise is basically the sister of a person who a cult starts about when the main character's sister gets struck by lightning. It's an interesting story. Overall was a really good book. I gave it 7.3 out of 10, just because it's not my favorite genre, so it probably didn't have the potential to be that much better. And I think the dialogue could have been better, but the protagonist is really interesting, has a really interesting arc, and the writing itself is fantastic. Especially, like, my sister's biggest strengths, I think, is internal monologue and descriptive writing. I would say, like, I read her prose in between Guy Gavriel Kay and Robin Hobb. And sorry, Shaylin, I don't think your prose is Guy Gavriel Kay good. He's one of the best prose writers on the planet, but it's really good. And like, it would have been a step up if I'd read it after almost any author. Anyways, that was the second book I read this month. After that, I continued with The Realm of the Elderlings by Robin Hobb with Dragonhaven. And if you watched my last wrap-up, you know I was somewhat disappointed with Dragon Keeper. I didn't dislike Dragon Keeper, but I just kind of kept waiting for it to get, like, really hook me and get good, and it just kind of never did. But I like Dragonhaven quite a bit more. I was a little bit scared this book, because there's a certain Goodreads reviewer named Patrick, and I think he gave it 1 star, and we basically agreed on Dragon Keeper, so I was pretty scared, but I like this quite a bit more than Dragon Keeper. I think there's basically one point of view of this series I'm not a fan of, but I found all the other point of views more interesting, and I started to get invested in some of the characters. like Cedric and Alice and Leftrin, and also we get more live ship stuff, like not live ship characters as in the objects, like more personality from the live ship that's in this that we didn't really get in Dragon Keeper. Hobbs Prose is still fantastic. The world building of this series is also really excellent. It's, funnily enough, from a world building standpoint, it's arguably her best work yet. I'm just not nearly as invested in the characters, and it's kind of a mess. There's a lot of, from Timar, who's my least favorite character in this by far, there's so much angst, and it's just, I don't care, Timara. I don't care. Please stop. So basically, like, this book is a complete mess. Rainwilds in general, it's a total mess, but it's a mess written by Robin Hobb, and a mess written by Robin Hobb is still pretty damn good. So this gets 7.5 out of 10. Good book. Enjoyed it. No, maybe I have it 7.3. Did I actually read this after Tigana? I might be getting my orders mixed up. I did read this actually after Tigana and before Honey Vinegar. That's funny. I got my order mixed up. Anyways, also 7.3. It was the next one. Spoiler for my next rating. I just realized I said the word spoiler, so a bunch of you probably panicked and left, but I'm not spoiling any books. Don't worry. It's fine. It's okay. But I just told you my next rating is 7.5. Anyways, overall, Rainwilds is still clearly my least favorite of the Hobb series, but still pretty damn good. So that does it. Anyway, we're moving on. So the next book I read was City of Dragons, and this took me 11 days to read, but that wasn't because of quality. That's because Mass Effect the Legendary Edition came out, and I played a lot of Mass Effect the Legendary Edition. But this book is actually really good. Well, not like really good, but I like this book. And the main reason I like this book more than the other two, I'm not going to lie. There's a live ship point of view character who's a point of view character in this book. And when I got to them, it was brilliant. Like, it reminded me why live ship was so amazing. It's me. I mean, I'm a live ship guy. Anyway, so that was the main reason why I love this. I still, like, when I get to the Timara point of views, I'm just like, please stop. By far my least favorite point of view in this series. Please make it stop. I like all the other point of views, though. Like, if you just cut that point of view, these would be, like, 8.5 out of 10. I really like the other point of views. It's the best paced of the three. It's the tightest of the three. It's also the shortest of the three, which is kind of funny because I read it in 11 days. But that wasn't this book's fault. That's just because Mass Effect is too good. I don't even play that many video games. This is how good Mass Effect is. I know this entire wrap-up is going to turn into Mass Effect praise, but I don't really play single-player video games, and I'm now replaying Mass Effect, and it's not the first time I'm replaying it. So, anyways, we're moving on to the book I finished about an hour ago. So, the last book I read in May was, of course, The Shadow of the Gods by John Gwynne, which I finished just in time. I know this probably won't get uploaded in May, but right now, for me, it's May 31st at like 3 p.m. And I finished this about an hour ago. And it was my second favorite book of the month, in that it got 8.1 out of 10. I'm less high on it than a lot of other John Gwynne fans are. I'm a big John Gwynne guy. Like, you know, I got John Gwynne right there. He's center shelf. And I think he may be the most consistent writer in the genre. And his consistency was maintained in that he has still not written a point of view I find boring. And he's 3 for 3 here. I like all 3 point of views. But there were some aspects of this that I didn't like as much as some of his work in the Banished Lands. The first thing is that I just didn't feel as personal of a hatred for the people I'm supposed to hate as I did in Of Blood and Bone, and especially Faithful and the Fallen. The second thing is it felt like there was a little bit less scheming in this book compared to The Faithful and the Fallen, and to a lesser extent, but still Of Blood and Bone. And those were kind of the two main reasons. Still really liked it. I mean, it's John Gwynne, so even when I'm slightly disappointed, it's my second favorite book of the month pretty easily. And I gave it 8.1 out of 10, by the way. So, yeah, it's really enjoyed it. Paced really well. I think the world building is his best yet. He's not necessarily known for his world building. His prose has steadily improved throughout all his books. It's definitely, my guess is if I read this and Malice back to back, it would be pretty jarring how much better the writing was. I actually like the story of Malice more, though. There's more, like, scheming going on. But I still like this book more than Malice. But I think it's probably my second least favorite Gwynne book, which isn't bad because Gwyn just doesn't write any books I don't like because he's so consistent. But I definitely, like, if you guys, I don't know, no one probably remembers this, but in my TBR and plans for the entire year that I uploaded in January, I had this as one of my 5-star predictions, and it never really got close to 5 stars, unfortunately. The ending was great. Loved the ending coming down the stretch. It had one of those reveals that I never saw coming, but the foreshadowing was so obvious in hindsight, which are my favorite type. And I gotta say, the cover's still straight fire, and I still don't regret getting it in hardback, because this is a pretty damn nice hardback. But didn't quite live up to the expectations I thought it would. I was kind of expecting it to be one of my favorite John Gwyn books. Instead, it's one of my least favorite John Gwyn books, but the range and quality for John Gwyn is pretty tight, so there's actually, that gap is not as big as it would be for any other author. John Gwyn might actually have, I guess, Evan Winter, but he only has 2 books. I was thinking John Gwyn might have my least favorite book of any author I've read, but I mean, Evan Winter only has 2 books, so I don't know if that counts. I guess R.F. Kuang as well, but she only has 3 books. This is his 8th book, so he's doing pretty well there. And since other people in their wrap-ups talk about what they're doing for not reading, I'm also going to talk about why I love Mass Effect after this. If all you care about is books, you don't want to hear me talk about Mass Effect, you can leave now. I would probably leave if I was watching this if it was any game other than Mass Effect, but we're doing it anyway. So normally, reading is kind of the thing I do in my free time when I'm at home, other than talking on Discord, but this month, there was also a lot of playing Mass Effect, and I love that series so much. For a video game, like, even for a book compared to book series, the world building is out of this world in how, like, in-depth it is and how lived in it feels. This was, like, the improvements for Mass Effect 1 were out of this world. Before Mass Effect 1 was my least favorite of the trilogy. Mass Effect 2 was also the first game I played in this trilogy, so I'm probably a little bit biased towards it. But Mass Effect 1 has been my least favorite just because of how clunky it was. But damn, even like the Mass Effect 1, I enjoyed so much. I've been playing as Renegade Shepard. It's almost a perfect playthrough so far. Everyone I want to be alive is alive, and even some people I don't want to be alive are alive because I wanted the achievements. Been playing on Insanity. One thing to note is if you play Mass Effect 1 on Insanity, Mass Effect 2 is so much harder. Mass Effect 1 used to be arguably the hardest of the 3 games, just because of like artificial increases in difficulty in that it just the combat wasn't very good. So it was hard to master the combat just because it wasn't very good. But holy crap, Mass Effect 2 is harder now. For the Legendary Edition, Mass Effect 2, I mean, man, some parts of that game are brutal. Anyways, I also, for Mass Effect, I love the characters in Mass Effect. And I love the aspect that the characters' arcs and their relationships within people, like, the writers didn't only write one character arc for each character. Some characters tend to have the same character arc no matter what, but there are also some characters who have different character arcs depending on the choices you make and the stuff they get involved in. Garrus, especially, kind of mirrors Shepard a little bit, whether you go like more Renegade or more Paragon. Mordin is my favorite character in the trilogy. He's fantastic. I love Mordin.
Fool's wish. Had to be me. Others might have gotten it wrong.
If anyone doesn't love Mordin, I'm slightly upset with you. And I'm disappointed as well. Anyways, I'm almost done Mass Effect 3. I just finished Priority Rannoch, for those of you who know what's going on. I've done 2 out of 3 of the DLCs, and I mean, Mass Effect 3 is going really well. I won't have literally like max war assets, but I'm going to be pretty close. And I'm going to get that achievement for playing all 3 games on Insanity, and no one died who wasn't supposed to in Mass Effect 2, so I got that achievement as well. And if any of you like single-player, character-driven video games with a ridiculously well-fleshed-out world, like, you can tell the world is well-fleshed out because you can just look at planets and they all have a little entry on them. It's amazing how few of the entries on planets are just, like, phoned in. Now, there are a couple, like, obscure ones you'll find that'll just be like, this is a basic gas giant, but almost all of them, you'll go to a random planet and they'll have, like, an interesting backstory, and some, like, cool fact about it, and it's pretty incredible. I think my ranking of that, I like 2 the most. 2's Probably my favorite single-player game of all time. I'm not sure between 1 and 3. 3, like, the ending was famously kind of shit on. With all the DLC and, like, the stuff, now that it's had more time, I think the ending's pretty good now. And the crew interactions on 3 are the best, but the story of Mass Effect 1 is the tightest. Anyways, we're going to move on from talking about video games, and that's basically all I got for my May wrap-up. I'm going to also have a June TBR video and a Shadow of the Gods review, so you guys can look forward to that. Let me know what you read in the month of May. I'm sure a lot of you also read Shadow of the Gods, so let me know whether you agree with me or whether you disagree. I think most people probably disagree. It seems to be most among people's favorite Gwyn books. I just didn't quite like them. I still thought it was great. Anyway, have a nice day, everyone. Bye. I need a send-off. Everyone else, like, has these, they give the same send-off every time, and I don't have one. I'm gonna steal ideas from you guys. What should my send-off be? I need one. Anyway, Zeth Sun Volano, Truthless of Canada, wore navy on the day he was to end a video.